Hi there. This is Joe Morrison, founder and CEO of Razor Sharp Consulting and creator of the Donor Finder System. I'd like to welcome you to our new online fundraising workshop series titled The Top 3 Reasons Small Nonprofits Fail at Online Fundraising. In this first video of the workshop, we're going to cover the top 3 reasons most nonprofit leaders never get their online fundraising off the ground. And most importantly, the one tool that virtually every successful nonprofit leader uses to get 2 to 10 times faster results with zero frustration. I want to say right off the bat that this training is totally different than what you're used to seeing from other fundraising experts out there. You know, those gurus. Those are the same people who sell high-priced products and services. And, well, they usually make money online teaching people some convoluted or questionable practice that only the exceptional few can master. But after spending countless dollars and lots of money on these courses, these different seminars and these programs, my clients tell me that most of the strategies taught by these gurus require that you have to be a guru yourself to actually pull it off. Well, this is totally different. It doesn't take a lot of time or money. It's proven. It's not technical or complicated. It might just be the most simple, easy to understand fundraising strategy that you've ever seen. So simple, in fact, that this whole 4-part strategy can be summed up in one page, as you can see here. I think you're really going to like this. But let's talk about a couple of quick ground rules first so you can get the most out of this training. The first of which is, please be attentive and stay focused. I know it sounds weird to say that, but in this digital environment in which we find ourselves, you're probably watching this on one screen, your phone is in the other hand, the TV may be on in the background, and if you're like me, you might be wearing a pager. No, I'm just kidding, of course. I may be old, but I'm not really out of touch. So, but seriously, turn it all off, okay? This short training is going to change the way you look at growing your nonprofit. And I want you to stay focused. Trust me, it's worth it. I want you to know that I'm also expecting you to be interactive. I created this free training for your benefit, so if you want to get the maximum results, ask a question below in the Facebook comments section. Leave a comment. Tell me that you're there. Show me that you have a pulse and you're plugged in and ready to go. And I want to apologize. I know it sounds strange right off the bat to apologize for a free training, but I want to apologize because I have a weird sense of humor, or so I've been told. And so if I make a joke and you don't get it, just ignore it and move on, okay? I'm also a bit of a geek, so I tend to like that technical stuff, but I'm not going to make this technical. I'm going to make it very, very easy for you. And I want you to know that I really do know my stuff, and hopefully you'll see that, and we'll have a little fun together. I'm even going to claim, quite frankly, that you might be entertained during this video series. I know that's a big claim, but this is not a boring sales pitch with no practical information given out like I've seen out there and like I've participated in. That's a huge turnoff to me. You have to remember that, I've worked with hundreds of small nonprofit organizations. I've trained thousands of leaders, and I think I know what it is that you're looking for. So that's what I'm going to deliver. And this training is going to be something that's going to leave you with a sense of calm, and maybe even a fun new way to look at your nonprofit. I know that's a big claim too, but that's what I'm hoping to deliver. We have to start by killing some myths during this training. No, not unicorns. No, we're not going to kill any lions or any other kinds of creatures, but myths, all right? By the way, no mythical creatures were harmed in the making of this video. Now, most of what you hear about online fundraising or social media are all claims about things going viral. The ALS Ice Bucket Challenge is probably the latest example. And for the average Joe, like you and me, that's just plain malarkey. It's BS. It's probably not going to happen to you. This workshop is going to take you down a totally different path. And in doing so, we have to kill some of the myths and leave behind some of those preconceived notions. If you're like me as a nonprofit leader, you have to think that there's no way that fundraising should be this hard, at least not online fundraising. And what you're about to learn is exactly why it tends to be so hard. The 3 reasons why you might be making it hard, and more importantly, how to avoid those mistakes in the first place. A little bit of bribe before we get started. I have a very, very special gift for you at the end of this workshop. It's my way of saying thanks and congratulations for taking action and getting clear on what you should be doing in terms of online fundraising. So stick around. I know this is going to be a very special transformational gift for you and your nonprofit. So thanks for showing up, but be sure to complete the whole video series. Take a stance right now and make sure that you make it happen. Let's talk about the audience for a moment. You know, you. So how do you know that this is right for you and that you're in the right place? First of all, this is not for hardcore, professional, big-time fundraisers, aside from me, of course. If you want to learn the more advanced features of fundraising, like planned giving, gift range charts, or dynamic flux capacitors, well, then this isn't for you. It's for the small nonprofit leader. It could be the executive director or a board member that is looking for a simple strategy that they can implement to start getting results right away. If you don't have the most basic things in place that you need to have in place, the basic building blocks, if you will, you have no place looking at advanced fundraising techniques and tactics anyway. They won't work for you, plain and simple. You have to have the right system set up or else you'll end up just chasing your tail, and I don't want that for you. So this is basic, but it's transformational. Now, if you think that there's someone else in your organization that handles those things, then this probably isn't for you either. After dealing with so many executive directors and nonprofit founders, I've come to realize that you can outsource tasks related to growing your nonprofit and to fundraising, but not the strategy itself. You have to be involved at the first and highest level. If you're here because you want to be the architect of your own strategy, then this absolutely is for you. Okay, no wannabes. What I mean is by this is if you don't have a program or a service right now that's meeting a clear community need, if you're still trying to figure that out or find out if the community wants what you're offering, then go and prove that first. Go sell it, if you will. Get solid proof that people want it, and then I can show you how to scale it. You have to have an existing nonprofit for this to work. Let's talk about why small nonprofit leaders struggle, why they struggle with just finding more donors online. It should be simple, but it's not. There are 3 core reasons why you are struggling. Number 1, lack of time. Most nonprofit leaders spend 90% of their time searching, clicking, trying to figure out what to do. So 90% of your time, the time you have to focus on fundraising, is usually spent trying to figure out just what to do instead of actually taking action. You have to deal with employees and programs and clients and fires to be put out. And of course, don't forget to empty the trash at the end of the day. You have to be in charge of everything, it seems. Trust me, I know. I've been there. Then when you do have time to focus on fundraising, you have to do the right things in the right order and not chase your tail trying to figure out what you should be doing. You want something that you can implement. No, you need something that you can implement right away. Another struggle that probably gets in your way is tech confusion. What tools to use, what software to use, what to do first, who to listen to. There's more and more and more information coming our way. Bad information, misinformation, too much information. And I know that when I started as a fundraiser, I was completely overwhelmed. Just a huge flood of stuff coming my way. And that was way before the internet, folks. So there are tools and courses and services and all these things. All they did was add to my confusion. Now, there were lots of tools available, as I said, but they were the wrong tools. Now, the right tools make all the difference in the world. Think about for a moment trying to hack into a Wells Fargo safe with a pickaxe. Well, that's how most of us approach fundraising, especially online fundraising. If we just have the right tools in place, things become 100 times more easy and more elegant. But yet when we don't know what tools to use, we're kind of just climbing up the hill, or to keep that analogy, trying to hack into that safe with a pickaxe. Now tell me in the Facebook comments below, before we dig right in, what is your top frustration or challenge with fundraising? Leave a one-sentence comment and let me know that you're there, and then I'll start the conversation going. If it's not any of those top three, then write something else. Or if it is one of those top three, tell me which of those top three it is. Which is your top frustration? So go and do that now if you would. So let's dig into the top 3 reasons small nonprofits fail at online fundraising. Number 1, not setting clear goals. And I know what you're thinking already, but this is not going to be some Tony Robbins goal setting whoopla kind of deal. I'm just talking about, where do you want to be with your nonprofit in 90 days? It's that simple. Most small nonprofit leaders approach their work as if they were drifting in an open ocean aboard a rudderless rowboat without any oars, looking for the next donor, short on time, maybe even short on staff. You're always in a reactive mode, letting the winds take you where they will, working on the wrong things or even the right things at the wrong time. So that's why you get overwhelmed. That's why you get stressed, or even, let's just say, hopeless, because until you create a clear vision of exactly where you want your nonprofit to be, you're always going to be a victim of what happens to you. So you have to go from drifting to driving. You have to establish a clear path, a challenging yet attainable route to get you into the driver's seat so you can focus. Every decision you make, everything you do, even if you only have 10 minutes a day or 1 hour a week, you're focusing on that specific outcome. By the way, isn't this just a sweet ride? Man, I would love to have one of these things, if only for a day. But I digress. Anyway, goals give you the what, so you can focus on the how. Goals tell you where you want to go, so you're forced to focus on how you can get there. So a wise man once told me that when you're traveling to another country, you only need 2 pieces of information. You need to know where you are now and where you're trying to get to. It sounds simple, but it really stuck with me as I see so many nonprofit leaders spending weeks, months, or years of just needless struggle because they simply don't have a specific destination in mind. So let's go ahead and find out where you are in your nonprofit right now and where you're trying to get to, specifically as it relates to your fundraising. The first thing you have to do is identify your point A. Where are you right now in your nonprofit journey? Are you a startup organization led by a founder or a CEO? Maybe you have a small but growing nonprofit, or you could be an established entity, but you simply haven't lived up to your full potential. We're going to figure out how to do all of that, but for now, just list what your current monthly income is and where you want it to be in 90 days, period. Okay? What's your donor prospect flow look like right now? Do you have a drought with no prospects coming in? Maybe it's a trickle of unpredictable prospects. Or maybe you've reached that coveted pinnacle of fundraising success with predictable prospects coming into your nonprofit organizations whenever you want. Maybe you have this flood of prospects on demand and you can just kind of focus on scaling up your nonprofit. I suspect you're watching this video because you're not at that pinnacle yet. Right? I'm sure right now you're probably just want to get to that next level. You might be struggling, and you just want to move up one notch. Okay? I'm sure that you want to get to that pinnacle, and that's what we're going to try to teach you how to do. So let's talk for a moment about how we can get very, very clear on exactly what you should be doing to grow your nonprofit, and more importantly, what you shouldn't be doing. This is a tool created by Aaron Fletcher, who in my opinion is an online marketing genius. And he's created, I've modified it a bit, and I call it the automatic revenue roadmap. It takes us through the 4 phases of nonprofit growth to get from zero to having as much as you want pouring into your nonprofit almost on autopilot. So let's find out where you are right now and what you should be doing. The first phase is struggling. You've launched your nonprofit, but maybe you're experiencing a lot of frustration and overwhelm because you're not producing a lot of income. You're just trying to prove that you're meeting a community need and that this is something worth supporting. You might have a little bit of money to invest in your ideas, very, very little. You have tons of time probably that you're putting forth, and maybe you're working part-time apart from your day job on this nonprofit. You're probably not even being paid by the nonprofit at this point. You're still trying to craft this idea into something real. You certainly have no prospects coming in, so you're caught in a drought state and you're struggling. You might be at zero to a few $1,000s a month coming in. You're certainly not at $10,000 a month or $20,000 a month predictably, right? What you need to do is to prove that you meet a need right now. In the business world, they say that you need to sell and validate market demand. You're still trying to see what percentage of your audience wants what you're offering, or if you have the right audience or an audience at all, right? So you need to test your idea. The second phase is surviving. This is where you might have a trickle of prospects coming in at an unpredictable kind of frequency. So you're exhausted because you're putting all this effort in, but you're also excited because you see the potential. You might have some donors. You generate some income. You might have made, those donors might have made some mid-sized or even significant gifts, but you're just surviving. There's not a huge net. You don't have a huge team to help you. You definitely can't step up other programs or expand your services. If you're at this level, you absolutely have to focus on putting in place a simple inbound funnel using the frameworks and tools that we're going to cover in this course. And you need to get that together pretty quickly because that's the only way to automate some of this stuff. So you can get to a flow state of steady prospects, which of course is the next and third phase in the pyramid here. Once you get to that flow level, you have a predictable income. You're thriving. You might even be bringing in $20,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month. You've freed up some of your time, but you might be restless because you're not scaling and growing your nonprofit to its fullest potential. And so you need to focus on process, building systems and metrics that you can scale more quickly. And you want to step out of that equation and have an automated system that is generating prospects for you and then converting those prospects into donors. But you need to focus on really leveraging, scaling, and getting your nonprofit ready for rapid growth. But most nonprofits are either struggling or they're surviving. They need to get to the next step and put together a simple fundraising or donor funnel. And for those few of you maybe that have been at it for a while, you might really be kicking fundraising in the butt. You might be at this flood stage. You might be driving your income. You have on-demand prospects. You only need to focus on people, building a world-class team that can focus on partnerships and maybe scaling their nonprofit or opening new chapters elsewhere. But for most of us here, you're struggling. Let's get you to surviving. If you're surviving, let's get you to thriving. Let's focus on exactly what you need to do. First of all, tell me where you are on the automatic revenue roadmap in one word: drought, trickle, flow, or flood. So once you've got your point A, then you need to figure out what your point B will be. What does your point B look like in 90 days? If you could wave a magic wand and we're having this conversation in the future, what would your point B be? And then 1 year from now, what would you have in place in terms of income or donors? Now, you don't have to type all of that in the comments section below. That's a little more personal, but really focus and then write down what your point B is right in front of you. Make sure you put it in black and white. It will make it much more concrete, and you'll be able to reach it if you write it down. What's your point B look like? Now let's talk about the second core reason why nonprofit leaders fail at online fundraising: information overload. And I'm going to show you how to solve this one. It's super important. Most of us approach fundraising like drinking from a fire hydrant. We're consuming articles, newsletters, courses, iBooks, tools, software, podcasts. We're listening to gurus. We're going to seminars, and all you're doing is collecting more and more stuff that only adds to your anxiety or frustration because you can't put it in place. You can't implement what you've learned. I know, because this is what happened to me. I spent my first 2.5 years in fundraising as a wannabe. In fact, when I started my first nonprofit organization, I failed miserably. I produced no income whatsoever. And I had to go get another day job and drive an hour and a half to a job that I really wasn't thrilled to be at. And I spent time building someone else's dream because I couldn't figure out how to build my own. So what you need to do is to shut off that fire hydrant and go from drinking way too much of the bad information and misinformation to actually doing something. And not just anything, the right things in the right order. Now, given the limited time and money that you have as a small nonprofit, you have to spend that time and money putting in place the simple things that are going to make all the difference in the world. Instead of dabbling in, say, a crowdfunding campaign or an email effort, you have to get focused on doing the right things in the right order. And let's talk about exactly how. This is an important concept that I call the climb. The first thing you have to do if you want to go from point A to point B and really exceed your fundraising goals is to empty your pack. The last thing you need during a rapid ascent is to fill your backpack with a whole bunch of stuff that you just don't need. You have to stop multitasking, stop subjecting yourself to information overload, and adopt the right mindset. You have to shift the way you look at growing your nonprofit to a much more simple model. You need to stop digging. Stop consuming the courses, stop consuming the articles and the podcasts, those iBooks and seminars, and stop spending time and money on things that don't work or that you don't need to be doing right now. And then I want you to go on an information diet. What I mean by an information diet is literally, I want you to commit to 90 days to turn off all the noise and just focus on building the right things that we're going to cover during this workshop series. When you go on a regular food diet, if you will, you don't stop eating completely, but you might eat less and you might eat different kinds of food. And that's what I want you to do with information. And the results, I know this from real life experience, those results are really going to be transformational. But you have to commit to going on this information diet. And trust me, it actually feels pretty good to do it. I know I do it on occasion when I get overloaded and I have too much stuff coming in. I cut it all back, and it makes all the difference in the world. It allows me to focus. And so once you've done that, once you've cleared your mind, you've set clear goals, you've emptied your pack, you've gone on an information diet, and you at that point, and only at that point, are you really ready to avoid the third mistake, which is the main reason why nonprofit leaders struggle and fail at fundraising. It's a lack of frameworks. Now, you're probably wondering, well, Joe, what the heck is a framework? And there's a reason that you don't know what one is. It's because nonprofit leaders have never used them or used them very rarely. No frameworks means no specific path to get from point A to point B to accomplish a task. A framework, at its most basic definition, is just a simple structure or a system for accomplishing something. And think about it. If I drop you off in a junkyard and I said, hey, Do me a favor and go pick up all the pieces required to make a running automobile, put it all together, and drive that vehicle out of there. Would you be able to do that? Well, that's why this is not your fault. There's literally not a route to take to grow your nonprofit, but it seems everybody else has a framework. If you want to be a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, a personal trainer, a short order cook, a kung fu master, a soldier, and let me look at this picture here and see who I can find. Anything else? Well, that weird guy in the back, I don't know what he wants to be. But if you want to do anything in life, there's usually a path. You go to this school, you get certified, you might do an internship, and you go about your way in that profession with that goal accomplished. To be a scuba diving instructor, you dive X many hours. You pay this fee, and you're good to go. Everybody else has a framework in the world except for you, the nonprofit leader. It's like you're on an island. You're trying to figure all this stuff out by yourself, and the truth is it could take 10 times longer than it should if you ever even get there. This is why most nonprofit leaders fail. This is the big takeaway: a lack of a clear structure. When you follow a framework, it provides a straight line from point A to point B. Remember when I brought up the short amount of time that you had and the tech overwhelm and the fact that you can't focus on your nonprofit? Well, then you have to spend that time fruitfully. Well, you need to follow a framework to get there. It's like having the combination to that safe I talked about. Remember when I brought up that analogy of trying to hack into the Wells Fargo safe with a pickaxe and having the wrong tools? Well, if you have a framework, how elegant does life become? When you turn a dial, left, right, left, 3 times, click, it opens up this huge door on those tiny little hinges. And that's what frameworks do. They take your fundraising from an uncompleted puzzle where you're sorting through an ocean of information coming at you, sort of like jigsaw pieces that don't even fit in the same box sometimes, and then suddenly you have a completed picture. Imagine when you know, hey, the first thing I want to do here is this. How do I do it? Boom. The second thing I have to do here is this. Boom. There's exactly a framework, a clear path to accomplish it. That's what the donor finder system is. Now, at its most simple form, the donor finder system is a step-by-step framework that allows you to scale your nonprofit predictably, to have the right foundation in place where you know who your donors are, you know what they're about, and you have the right offer to attract, engage, and convert those prospects into donors. It's like an offline funnel where people come into contact with you, right? They go through a specific set of steps to go from strangers to friends. That's all an online funnel is as well. But only then do the floodgates open. When you follow this simple path, and that traffic tends to flow. And it's a super simple system. Try saying that 10 times fast. A super simple system that we're going to cover in a video I call the 7 essential elements of every successful fundraising funnel. But first, I want to kind of put the whole thing back on you and tell you that the choice is yours. Now, I know that's kind of rhetorical, but you can choose what to do. What you're doing right now with no framework, with lots of frustration and overwhelm, and maybe getting a couple of donors here or there. Or you can just follow a clear path and move forward. And that's your mission, should you choose to accept it. But you have to do a little bit of homework first. Yes, I'm audacious enough to give you homework. Okay, which means what I'd like you to do is to download the automatic revenue roadmap and create your not to-do list. I literally want you to physically write down all the things you're not going to do that you're doing right now to try to grow your nonprofit. I used to ask nonprofit boards when I did fundraising training, what are you doing right now to grow your nonprofit? And every time their answer was, diametrically opposed to what they should be doing. It was the opposite. They'd say things like, well, we're writing grants, of course, and when this big grant comes through, we'll be solvent. We'll be able to move forward. Or we're having a golf tournament coming up and we're hoping to raise lots of money through that golf tournament. Or, we've created a Facebook page and we're starting to get lots and lots of followers. And I thought to myself, really? That's how you grow your nonprofit, by getting creating a Facebook page? Well, you really have to have clarity before you can attract, engage, and convert prospects into donors. Without it, you're going to simply be chasing your tail, as many of those nonprofit boards were, and wasting a lot of time and money. So trust me, I'm going to give you the great clarity that you need in the 7 steps in the video to follow. I call it the simple 7. I know that there's only 6 that are shown here, but that's because the computer screen cut it off. But trust me, there's 7. It's the exact steps you need to take. I'm going to give you a downloadable map that you're going to fill out so you know exactly what to do, and you're going to get clear on what you should be doing right now to grow your nonprofit, and more importantly, what you should not be doing. So it's your turn. What you're going to do first is you're going to look at your email for the next video to the 7 essential elements of every fundraising funnel. Today or tomorrow, that should arrive in your email box. And then I want you to comment below and tell me what you thought of this video. The things that you're not going to do, maybe. Even if you thought, well, Joe, you know what? You're totally ridiculous. I don't like this stuff at all. Write that down. I won't delete it. My wife might, but I won't. No, my wife won't. I'm just kidding. I want you to share your feelings in the link below, and just share this program on Facebook too if you think that this system is going to help other nonprofit leaders find clarity. This is powerful because once you set a clear goal, you've emptied your pack, you're going on an information diet, and you kind of clear your mind. And what happens is you suddenly realize that you no longer have to struggle. Now, I'm going to give you the 7 frameworks in the next video. I honor you for taking this time to invest in yourself and grow your nonprofit. Take care. I can't wait to talk to you soon. Bye-bye.